Dominic's orders had become legend. Towns emptied when his forces arrived. Roads were closed, airspace restricted, entire cities locked down. The media whispered about the king of the Mafia hunting an Omega, and panic spread. Everywhere Elian went, the tension of the nation pressed down on him. Shops refused him food, travelers avoided him, and strangers' eyes lingered with suspicion. No one wanted the wrath of Dominic Valerio on their doorstep. The boy who had once been free now lived in constant terror. And Dominic, the Alpha's obsession only grew with every passing day. He could feel Elian moving through the country, each heartbeat a pulse in his veins, each step a challenge to his authority. Elian moved like a shadow through the abandoned industrial district, the skeletons of warehouses and factories providing him cover. Every sound, every movement, sent shivers down his spine. The bond pulsed violently, a tether he could neither sever nor ignore. He knew Dominic was near, closer than the night could hide, closer than any map could track. He had run for days without rest, sleeping only when exhaustion claimed him and waking in cold terror. His body was weak, the pregnancy weighing heavier on him with each passing hour. Yet he forced himself onward, guided by a single thought: survival, not for himself, for the life inside him. In a small, ruined village, Elian found temporary refuge with a group of smugglers. They offered him food, blankets, and a quiet corner in a derelict warehouse. For a few hours, he allowed himself to breathe, to imagine safety, to let his fear ebb. But Dominic's reach was never far. Even here, he could feel it, the Alpha's presence like a shadow bleeding through walls, crawling across distances, unrelenting. Every beat of his heart reminded him that the predator hunting him would not rest. "Don't get comfortable," one of the smugglers warned quietly. "The last boy who stayed here, they found him." Elian nodded, eyes fixed on his hands, stomach tight with worry. The warning was clear. Trust was a luxury he could not afford. Meanwhile, Dominic's forces moved with terrifying efficiency. Villages that had once sheltered the fleeing Omega were obliterated. Safe house burned. Roads were blocked. Anyone suspected of aiding him was interrogated or worse, vanished without a trace. Dominic's obsession had grown into an unstoppable force. Every informant, every soldier, every corrupt official in the nation was mobilized. He didn't just want to find Elian. He wanted to erase every possibility of hiding, to leave the world barren of refuge. "Bring him to me," Dominic commanded, voice low, lethal, and resonant with obsession. "I don't care if the country burns around him, I want him, alive and mine." Reports filtered in, towns abandoned, villagers fleeing in terror, rumors of an Alpha's wrath sweeping across the nation. And yet, Elian persisted, weaving through forests, rivers, and towns like a ghost, desperately holding onto life. In the mountains near the eastern border, Elian's luck nearly ran out. He had found a narrow cave to rest, thinking it would shield him from the search parties. But just as he drifted into sleep, a distant roar of engines and the unmistakable sound of Dominic's convoy echoed through the valley. He bolted into the darkness, slipping along hidden paths and treacherous cliffs. Each step was agony, the weight of the pregnancy, the hunger, and the exhaustion threatening to bring him down. But he could not stop. He could not let Dominic find him. The convoy swept past mere feet from him. Dominic's shadow loomed in the distance, a predator searching for prey. Elian could feel his Alpha's gaze, cutting across the terrain, burning him from afar. Dominic's hunt had become a national crisis. Borders were sealed. Air traffic halted. Roads were blocked. Towns emptied. Rumors of Dominic Valerio's wrath spread faster than fire. No one dared offer aid, and every corner of the nation shivered under the knowledge that the Mafia king was searching for his Omega, and he would stop at nothing. Elian was living in a nightmare. Every night was a perilous gamble, every shadow a possible threat. He moved like a phantom, eating scraps, sleeping in the cold, pressed against walls, trees, and corners wherever he could find cover. And Dominic's obsession grew with every heartbeat, every whisper of the Omega's presence. Each report of Elian's movement inflamed the Alpha further, sharpening his focus and his hunger for possession. Weeks passed. Elian's body ached, fatigue and fear gnawing at him. The pregnancy grew heavier, more pronounced, making every step a trial. He could feel Dominic closing in, each day shrinking the world, closing off the paths of escape. He found brief solace in an abandoned farmhouse near the river, hiding in the loft, listening to the rain. But the bond pulsed like wildfire, Dominic's obsession echoing through it. He couldn't deny it anymore. The Alpha knew him. He always knew him. The thought made his heart pound in fear and something else, something dangerous he didn't want to admit. Even as he ran, even as he hid, a part of him responded to the pull, the tether, the fire that was Dominic. Yet he had no choice. He could not allow himself to fall into the trap, not yet. Not until he was certain the child was safe. Elian stumbled through the remnants of a ruined town, the once bustling streets now empty and hollow. Windows gaped like dead eyes, doors hung off their hinges, and the air was thick with the scent of smoke and decay. His chest ached with exhaustion, his stomach burned, and the baby inside him kicked insistently with each step, a cruel reminder of the stakes. He paused in the shadow of a crumbling wall, listening. The faint hum of engines in the distance made his blood run cold. Every nerve in his body screamed the truth. Dominic's men were near. The bond pulsed violently, more insistent than ever, a tether that Dominic had tightened across the nation. Every heartbeat of the Alpha echoed inside him, an omnipresent, terrifying drum. Elian pressed himself against the wall, willing the shadows to swallow him. Dominic's forces had become relentless. Every village, every town, every forest and abandoned building was scoured. His men moved with surgical precision, leaving nothing untouched. Bridges were guarded, roads were blocked, rivers patrolled. There was no safe route, no place untouched by the Alpha's obsessive command. Dominic himself was everywhere. Surveillance feeds, informants, intercepted messages. He could trace Elian's every movement. And the closer he got, the more dangerously the bond pulsed, drawing him like a magnet toward the Omega. "Find him," Dominic growled into the comms. "Every inch of this country will burn if it comes to that, but he will not escape me. My Omega is mine." Elian's feet slipped in the mud near the riverbank, but he scrambled up just as a convoy of black SUVs tore past, lights cutting through the mist. He pressed himself against the reeds, holding his breath as rifles scanned the shoreline. Somewhere behind him, Dominic's presence throbbed like molten steel through the bond. It was maddening, suffocating, consuming. Elian could almost hear the Alpha's low growl echoing across the water, promising retribution, claiming him with every invisible pulse. He dared not look back. One glimpse, and he might be unable to resist the pull. One step too late, and Dominic would have him. By now, Dominic's obsession had turned the nation into a powder keg. Cities emptied as word of the hunt spread. Airlines canceled flights. Police forces diverted resources to tracking the Omega. Rumors of the Mafia king's wrath paralyzed towns. Everyone knew, hide the Omega and you would pay. Fail to report him and death would follow. Elian's every step was a gamble. Every safe house he stumbled upon had been compromised. Every sympathetic villager, too, frightened to help. He moved constantly, finding temporary refuge in abandoned barns, derelict factories, and deep forest hollows. Yet even as he ran, even as he hid, the bond pulsed like wildfire. Dominic was close, too close. Late one night, Elian crept through the streets of a small industrial city. He was tired, nearly broken, but he pressed on, desperate for a place to rest. A black SUV slid silently into view, headlights cutting through the mist. Figures emerged, rifles raised. Panic surged through him. He darted into an alley, heart hammering, slipping past overturned crates and broken barrels. Footsteps thundered behind him. Dominic's presence surged inside him, suffocating, pressing, claiming. Elian's legs threatened to collapse, his breaths came in ragged gasps. And then a hand shot out from the darkness, grabbing his shoulder. He twisted, swinging with all the strength he had left, but the grip was iron, unyielding. He felt a breath hot against his neck. "You can't run forever, Elian," a voice whispered, low, dangerous, intimate. It was not Dominic, yet the bond screamed with the alpha's rage and hunger. Elian kicked, shoved, and wrenched free, disappearing into a hidden passage just in time. But the message was clear. Dominic was everywhere, and escape was no longer about distance. It was about ingenuity, luck, and constant vigilance. Huddled in a crumbling factory loft, Elian pressed a hand over his stomach. He was exhausted, hungry, terrified, but he had to survive. Every moment he lived, every shadow he outran, was a victory for the child inside him. "I'll keep you safe," he whispered. "I swear I'll keep you safe no matter what." But he could feel the bond pulsing, Dominic's presence closer than ever. The alpha would not rest. The nation would tremble. And soon the inevitable would come, the day Dominic finally cornered him, with nowhere left to run. Elian shivered, both in fear and in the undeniable pull of the bond, knowing the storm was far from over. The night sky was black as ink, the clouds heavy with rain that slicked the streets of the abandoned industrial district. Elian's breath came in ragged gasps. His legs burned, muscles trembling with exhaustion, and the pregnancy pressed mercilessly against him with each step. He could barely remember how long he had been running. Days, weeks. It felt like an eternity of shadows, cold, hunger, and the ever-present pulse of Dominic's bond in his chest. Somewhere in the distance, the hum of engines echoed through the streets. Black SUVs, headlights piercing through the rain, moving with lethal precision. Dominic's men were close. He could feel the pull of the alpha, a living, breathing tether dragging at the edges of his consciousness. Elian pressed himself into a corner between two crumbling walls, dripping wet, heart-hammering. He tried to slow his breathing, tried to think, but fear had sharpened every sense. One step, one sound, one miscalculation, and it would be over. Dominic's hunt had reached its crescendo. The entire nation felt the tremors of his obsession. Bridges were guarded, highways blocked, towns swept clean, rivers patrolled. Even abandoned forests were not safe. In a mobile command center overlooking the Central Plains, Dominic studied maps and feeds with a predator's focus. Every movement Elian made was tracked, analyzed, anticipated. The Alpha's obsession had mutated into a storm. Nothing mattered but the Omega, nothing existed outside the hunt. Seal the East Quadrant, sweep the northern highways. No building, no village, no alley is to be left unchecked, Dominic commanded. His voice was low, lethal, and edged with something dangerously intimate. "I want him alive, mine. He carries my blood. No one can hide him from me." His lieutenants nodded, fear etched into their faces. Every officer, every soldier, every informant knew. Fail, and Dominic's wrath would not distinguish between them and the Omega. Elian ran. Streets blurred under the rain, puddles splashing around his feet. He darted between broken crates and overturned barrels, ducked into narrow alleyways, and climbed over fences slick with rain. His breath tore through his lungs, each heartbeat hammering against his chest. The bond pulsed violently now, Dominic's obsession like a living creature inside him. The Alpha was close, asterisk so close asterisk, a presence that could consume him whole if he stopped, if he faltered. Ahead, he spotted a cluster of abandoned warehouses. A brief, desperate hope flickered. Shelter, even temporary, might buy him a few hours to rest, to plan his next move. He ran faster, lungs burning, heart pounding, ignoring the weight of the child pressing against him. He didn't see the figure until it stepped out from the shadows. Dominic. Rain-plastered hair to his face, coat flaring around his tall, imposing frame. He stood at the mouth of the alley, unwavering, eyes locked on Elian. His presence was overwhelming, suffocating, filled with heat, obsession, and dominance. "Elian," he said, voice low, dangerous, intimate. "Stop running." Elian froze, muscles locking. His stomach twisted, not just from fear, but from the pull of the bond. Dominic's gaze drilled into him, and the Alpha's scent saturated the air, heavy, possessive, claiming. "You can't hide from me," Dominic continued, taking slow steps forward. "You belong to me, and that child mine. You cannot escape what is already claimed." Elian's hands shook. I won't, I can't. Dominic's voice softened dangerously, a whisper that made Elian's blood run cold. Yes, you can. You can run, but it's only prolonging the inevitable. You feel it, don't you? The bond, the pull. You've always belonged to me. Instinct kicked in. Elian bolted, dashing past the warehouses, sliding across slick metal, heart-hammering. Dominic moved with a terrifying calm, stepping into his path effortlessly, closing distance with inhuman speed. His hands reached, but he didn't grab him. He didn't need to. The pull was already there, strong, irresistible, claiming. Elian ducked into a narrow service corridor, breathing heavily, chest tight, sweat and rain mingling on his face. He pressed against the wall, listening. He could hear Dominic's footsteps echoing behind him, slow, deliberate. Stop fighting, Dominic murmured, his voice a growl that wrapped around Elian's mind. You can run, but you cannot escape me. I will have you. And you will love it, Omega. You already do. Elian shook his head violently, tears mingling with rain. He wanted to scream, to cry, to push away the impossible pull. But the bond throbbed, and the Alpha's presence was everywhere. He could feel the child moving, reacting to Dominic, as if even the unborn sensed the claim. Across the country, the tremors of Dominic's hunt had become a nightmare. Towns emptied, highways deserted, skis patrolled. Every shadow became a threat, every rumor of an Omega in hiding a headline that sent cities into panic. And now, finally, the prey was nearly caught. Elian had nowhere left to run. Every road, every alley, every building had been swept clean. Dominic's obsession, his rage, his desire had tightened into a perfect storm. The climax was near. Elian's survival, the life inside him, and Dominic's unrelenting obsession would collide in a way that would change everything. The mansion loomed like a ghost against the night sky, its broken windows staring down at the rain-slicked grounds. Elian stumbled through the crumbling entrance, shivering, drenched, every muscle screaming exhaustion. He had run for weeks, across towns, forests, and rivers, but here, in this abandoned fortress of stone and silence, the world offered no escape. The bond pulsed violently, tighter than ever, dragging at him like a living chain. Dominic was here. He could feel it, a suffocating, inescapable presence pressing into every corner of the mansion, every shadow, every heartbeat. Elian's hands trembled as he pressed them against his stomach, feeling the baby stir violently. The child's movements mirrored the tension in his own chest, the tug of Dominic's obsession, the undeniable pull that had hunted him across the nation. A door creaked behind him. He froze. Elian, Dominic's voice called, low, deliberate, intimate. It was not shouted, not announced, simply spoken, and yet it reverberated through the mansion, through the walls, through Elian's body. You can't hide from me. Not here, not anywhere. I will find you. And when I do, you'll understand what belongs to me. Elian pressed himself against the wall, breath ragged. His chest tightened with fear and something more dangerous, something that made the hair on his arms stand on end. The Alpha's presence was everywhere, in the shadows, in the pulse of his own heartbeat, in the child stirring within him. The mansion was silent except for the distant rumble of the storm outside and Dominic's relentless presence. Elian's mind raced, every instinct screaming to flee, yet he could feel the invisible walls closing in. Each step he took echoed in the grand, empty halls, betraying his position. You've run for so long, Dominic murmured, stepping out from the shadows, his tall frame perfectly poised, eyes dark with obsession. Hiding from me, thinking distance could save you, but it hasn't, and it won't. You're mine, Elian, always have been, and now the child will know it too. Elian swallowed hard, heart-hammering. He tried to move past the Alpha, but Dominic's gaze held him still, a predator's intensity that left no room for resistance. You're trembling, Dominic said softly, stepping closer. The distance between them closed, shrinking the space of the mansion into a single, suffocating circle. Fear, excitement, resistance, it all betrays you. I can see it. I can feel it in the bond. You feel it too, don't you? Elian's knees weakened. He pressed a hand over his stomach, fighting back tears and the heat that flared uncontrollably under Dominic's gaze. I can't, he whispered. You already have, Dominic interrupted, tilting his chin, forcing their eyes to meet. The bond doesn't lie, you can't resist it, and why would you want to? Dominic's presence grew heavier, pressing against Elian like the air before a storm breaks. He moved closer, deliberately slow, each step calculated, mesmerizing, dominant. Fingers brushed the back of Elian's hand, trailing along his arm, not touching intimately, yet the touch burned through every nerve. The child responds, Dominic murmured, voice dark, a low growl of obsession. Do you feel it? It knows me, it's mine, and so are you. Elian's chest tightened, body betraying his mind. He shook his head, resisting with every fiber of his being, but the bond pulsed, dragging him, claiming him in ways he could not deny. His pulse raced, every instinct screaming both fear and heat, terror and attraction, submission and rebellion. You've run across this country, hiding, surviving impossible odds, Dominic whispered, forehead brushing Elian's. But all of it was pointless. The bond doesn't lie. You belong to me. You always have. And soon you'll understand that resistance is unnecessary. Elian's breaths came in ragged bursts. Part of him wanted to collapse into the Alpha's arms, to surrender, to feel the warmth and protection that Dominic's obsession promised. Another part of him raged, screaming that he could not give in, that he must survive for the child. His hands trembled as he pressed against Dominic's chest, feeling the Alpha's heartbeat, the heat radiating from his body, the tether of the bond like an invisible chain pulling tighter. I won't. You will, Dominic murmured, a dangerous smile curling his lips. Because the bond won't let you, because you already have. The storm is over, Elian. There's no more running. Only me, only ours, you, me, and the child. Nothing else exists, and you feel it. Elian gasped, shivering violently, both from the cold and the pull of the bond. His resistance faltered, his heart betraying his mind. He had survived impossible odds, but here, trapped in the mansion with Dominic, he could feel the inescapable truth of the Alpha's obsession, the bond, and the claim that had hunted him across the nation. Outside, the storm raged, but inside the mansion, the world had narrowed to a single point: Dominic. Every shadow, every echo, every heartbeat revolved around him. Elian's fear, exhaustion, and conflicting desires collided, leaving him suspended between terror and the undeniable pull of the Alpha. Dominic's hands rested lightly on his arms, fingers trailing like fire. You're mine, he whispered. And you always will be, you can feel it. The bond, it's not just my obsession. It's ours, you can't resist it. You won't. Elian's breath hitched. Every instinct told him to fight, to flee, to resist. But the tether, the obsession, the undeniable pull of Dominic's presence wrapped around him like a vice. There was no escape left. No hiding. No running. Only Dominic, the bond, and the inescapable claim of the Alpha who had haunted him across the nation. For the first time in weeks, Elian felt himself truly trapped, and for the first time he wondered if surrender might be something more than fear. The mansion was silent except for the patter of rain against broken windows and the faint echo of Dominic's boots on the worn floorboards. Elian stood in the center of the grand hall, drenched and shivering, muscles taut with exhaustion and the unbearable pull of the bond. Every heartbeat reverberated through him, every pulse a reminder. He could no longer hide. Dominic's presence filled the mansion, a suffocating heat that pressed against him, curling around his mind and body. Elian's chest tightened. His stomach fluttered as the baby stirred, reacting to the Alpha's nearness. The pull of the bond intensified, dragging him closer even as his instincts screamed for escape. You've run far enough, Dominic murmured, stepping closer, eyes dark with obsession. The distance, the miles, the hiding, it all ends tonight. You're mine, always have been. And the child ours. You feel it, don't you? Elian pressed trembling hands against his stomach, gasping. I can't. You already have, Dominic interrupted, voice low, intimate like velvet over steel. The bond never lies. It's stronger than fear, stronger than running. You belong to me, Elian. You've always belonged to me. Dominic's hands moved deliberately, brushing along Elian's arms, tracing the lines of his shoulders, lingering just long enough to set every nerve on fire. The touch was not forceful but utterly dominating, claiming. Elian's knees threatened to give out. The heat from Dominic radiated into him, invading, irresistible. "You can fight me," Dominic murmured, lips near his ear. "But the bond doesn't lie, you already feel it. You already know you're mine. And the child, it senses it too. You're connected. You cannot escape this. And why would you want to?" Elian's pulse raced. His mind screamed to resist, but the tether, the bond, pulled with inescapable force. Every instinct was split between terror, defiance, and a strange, forbidden longing. His fingers trembled as they grazed Dominic's chest. "You can't claim me," Elian whispered, voice cracking. Dominic tilted his chin, pressing their foreheads together. "I don't claim, I own asterisk. This bond, it doesn't lie, and you can't resist it. You never could, not fully." Dominic's eyes softened dangerously, and then hardened with possessive fire. "You've run, hidden, survived, fought, and yet here you are in my grasp. Do you feel it? How it pulls you? How your body responds?" Elian's breath caught. The Alpha's words, the intensity, the closeness, it was suffocating and intoxicating. The baby moved again, tiny limbs pressing against his stomach, reacting to Dominic. A shiver ran through Elian. Fear, heat, awe, and something darker tangled inside him. Dominic pressed a finger to Elian's lips, soft, commanding. "The bond doesn't lie. You want this even if you fight it. You feel it, you can't deny it. And soon you won't even try." Elian's head spun. He shook violently, trying to pull back to fight the pull, but the bond wrapped tighter, Dominic's presence overwhelming him, leaving no space to think, only to feel. Elian's knees gave way, but Dominic caught him instantly, strong arms encircling him, heat and possession radiating like wildfire. "You belong here," Dominic whispered, voice low, a growl, a caress. "Not running, not hiding. Here with me, our bond, our child, everything is here. And you are mine." Elian trembled, pressed against Dominic's chest, heart hammering. He hated how safe he felt, how the heat of the Alpha's body, the bond, the obsession, pulled him into submission even as his mind screamed resistance. "You can fight me," Dominic continued, "but every heartbeat betrays you. Every flutter of the child responds. You cannot escape. And why would you want to? I will protect you. I will claim you. I will never let you go." Tears blurred Elian's vision. Fear, frustration, longing, and the overwhelming pull of the bond tangled into one impossible, electrifying knot. He pressed his face into Dominic's chest, breathing hard, unable to fight the claim anymore. The mansion around them disappeared. Rain, darkness, the storm outside, all irrelevant. Only Dominic, only the bond, only the possession that could not be denied. For the first time in weeks, Elian felt completely trapped. And despite every warning, the thought of surrendering frightened him and thrilled him all at once. The mansion was silent, the storm outside reduced to a dull roar against the walls, as if the world itself held its breath. Elian trembled in Dominic's arms, drenched, exhausted, and trapped, not by physical walls, but by the suffocating, unrelenting presence of the Alpha. Dominic's hands roamed deliberately, claiming, not violently, but with a precision that set every nerve on fire. He traced along Elian's spine, lingering on his shoulders, pressing his chest against the Omega's back, heat radiating through every inch of his body. "You're trembling," Dominic murmured, lips brushing the nape of Elian's neck, voice soft yet dangerous. "Fear, heat, resistance, I can feel it in every heartbeat, every pulse. The bond is pulling you to me. Can you feel it? Can you feel how much you belong to me?" Elian gasped, hands pressed against Dominic's chest, muscles taut, body betraying his mind. I don't." "You already have," Dominic growled, tilting his chin, forcing their foreheads together. "The bond doesn't lie. Every instinct, every reaction, it screams for me. And so does your body. Even the child, it responds. You cannot escape what is already ours." Dominic pressed closer, one hand cradling Elian's jaw, the other resting low on his back. The Alpha's eyes softened just enough to be dangerous, intimate. "You've run, hidden, fought, survived impossible odds. But here, in my grasp, you see how futile it all was. You cannot resist me, and why would you want to? Elian's chest heaved, breaths ragged. The heat radiating from Dominic, the pull of the bond, the stirrings of the child inside him, it all combined into an overwhelming storm. His hands shook as they grazed Dominic's arms, trembling with a mixture of terror, awe, and something far darker, longing. "You can fight me," Dominic whispered, voice low, vibrating with obsession. "But every heartbeat betrays you. Every flutter of the child reacts to me. You feel it even if you deny it. You already know you belong to me." Elian's knees weakened. He pressed himself closer, shaking, face buried against Dominic's chest. The alpha's heat and possession enveloped him completely, leaving no room for thought, only sensation. He hated it. He feared it. And yet, part of him ached to succumb entirely, to let the bond, the obsession, the claim wash over him completely. Dominic murmured against his hair, "You're mine, always have been. And now you will feel it, you will understand. The bond, it's ours. The child ours, you are mine." Elian shuddered violently, every nerve alight, heart hammering, chest tight. He pressed trembling hands against Dominic's chest, trying to anchor himself, to resist. But the bond was merciless, the alpha's obsession consuming. "You're safe with me," Dominic continued, voice soft, intimate yet edged with possessive fire. "You don't need to fight anymore, not against me, not against the bond, not against what you already feel. You belong here with me, and you always will." Tears blurred Elian's vision. His heart ached from fear and longing, from resistance and surrender colliding violently. The mansion, the storm, the world outside, all of it vanished. Only Dominic, only the bond, only the consuming claim of the alpha who had hunted him across the nation. Dominic lowered his lips to Elian's temple, whispering against his skin, "You cannot deny it. You want this even if you resist. I see it in your body, your pulse, the stirrings of our child. You belong to me, and soon you will accept it fully." Elian gasped, shivering from a mixture of cold, heat, and the inescapable pull of the alpha. He wanted to push away, to fight, but his body betrayed him. Every instinct, every nerve, every heartbeat was answering Dominic's possession. The alpha's hands tightened slightly, not harshly, but firmly enough to anchor him completely. "Feel it," Dominic whispered, forehead pressed to his. "The bond, the obsession, our connection. You can resist, but it will not help. You are mine, Elian, and you always have been." Elian's tears mixed with rainwater still clinging to his hair. His body shook, mind racing, heart torn. He was trapped, utterly, hopelessly. Yet for the first time he felt a strange, dangerous thrill. Fear, desire, obsession, and love tangled into one impossibly consuming storm. He realized, even in his resistance, even in his terror, he could not imagine being anywhere else. Not from Dominic's grasp, not from the pull of the bond, not from the heat and obsession that consumed him completely. And for the first time, he wondered. Maybe surrender was not defeat, maybe it was inevitable. The mansion had become a world unto itself, walls echoing only the rain outside, the storm muted against Dominic's presence, the shadows swallowing the emptiness. Elian's body pressed against Dominic's, soaked through with rain and tremors, yet unable to move away. Every nerve burned, every heartbeat pulsed in sync with the alpha's, every breath a tether to him. Dominic's hands rested lightly but possessively along Elian's sides, tilting his chin, pressing their foreheads together. His obsidian eyes, dark, endless, and filled with obsession, held Elian captive. Not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually. "You feel it," Dominic whispered, voice low, vibrating through the bond. "The pull, the bond, you can fight it all you want, but it's useless. You are mine, always have been. And our child, it already knows me. It calls for me just as you do." Elian's breath hitched. He pressed trembling hands against Dominic's chest, trying to anchor himself, trying to deny the heat racing through him, the tether of the bond tightening like chains around his soul. I caw," Elian murmured, voice breaking. Dominic's lips curved into a low, dangerous smile. "You already have," he murmured, pressing a hand to Elian's stomach, feeling the fluttering movements of their child. You're already responding. You can feel it, can't you? The pull, the claim, the truth of what's ours. Elian's knees threatened to buckle. He shook violently, a mixture of fear, defiance, and something far more dangerous, longing. Dominic's hands tightened slightly, pressing him closer, anchoring him. "You've run, survived, hidden, fought," Dominic murmured, voice soft but edged with possessive fire. "But none of it matters. Not anymore. You're here with me, and you'll feel the truth of what's ours." Elian pressed his face against Dominic's chest, shivering, tears mingling with the rain still clinging to his hair. He hated how safe he felt, hated how much he wanted to succumb, yet every fiber of him was already responding to the bond, to the obsession, to the Alpha's claim. Dominic lowered his lips to his temple, then along the line of his jaw, whispering against his skin. "You cannot resist me. You don't want to resist me. And soon you'll realize you never could. You were mine before you even knew it. And now you will fully understand." Dominic's hands moved with precise, deliberate care, tracing along Elian's back, pressing into the curve of his waist, brushing fingers along his hair, every movement claiming, marking, and asserting dominance without violence. "You belong to me," Dominic murmured, voice vibrating through the tether, through every nerve ending. "Every heartbeat, every pulse, every flutter of our child, it's all ours. You cannot hide from it. You cannot fight it. You cannot deny it. And you will not want to." Elian gasped, shivering violently, heat and fear mingling in a storm of sensation. His mind screamed, but the bond, the obsession, and Dominic's presence overpowered every thought. Resistance was slipping, melting away under the pull of something undeniable, consuming, dangerous. Dominic pressed fully into him, forehead against forehead, lips brushing Elian's ear. "You feel it, don't you?" he whispered. "The need, the bond, the claim, all of it pulling you to me. You can try to deny it, fight it, resist it, but it's already here, inside you, around you, tying you to me." Elian trembled, pressed against him, heartbeat hammering, breaths ragged. Every instinct screamed to pull away, yet every cell of his body betrayed him, answering Dominic's obsession, the bond, the possession. "You're mine," Dominic said again, low and fierce. "And you will always be, the child ours. And soon you'll see that surrender is not defeat, it is truth. You cannot run from it anymore." The storm outside raged, but inside the world had narrowed to a single point, Dominic and the bond between them. The mansion, the rain, the night, all of it disappeared into the heat, obsession, and possession that held Elian captive. Elian's mind spun, a tangle of terror, longing, and the dangerous pull of surrender. Every nerve was alight, every heartbeat answering the Alpha's claim. His hands shook as they clutched Dominic's coat, body trembling, mind teetering on the edge of complete surrender. Dominic pressed his lips to the side of his head, whispering possessively, intimately, "You cannot hide, you cannot resist, and you will never want to. You are mine, Elian, always have been, always will be." Elian's breaths came in ragged gasps. The pull of the bond, the obsession, the heat between them, and the presence of the child pressed into him like wildfire. He realized with terrifying clarity that there was no more running, no more hiding, no more resisting. Only Dominic, only the bond, and the consuming claim that would follow him for the rest of his life. And for the first time, he felt a dangerous, thrilling, intoxicating desire to surrender completely. The mansion was quiet. Dominic had extinguished all the torches and sat against the wall, back straight, eyes never leaving Elian as the Omega paced, still trembling, still conflicted. The storm outside had passed, leaving only silence, broken occasionally by the drip of water from the broken roof. Elian stopped mid-step and finally exhaled, sinking to his knees. I can't run anymore," he whispered, voice shaking. "I give up, but I need time. I need space to think, to breathe." Dominic's gaze softened slightly but remained intense, a predator patiently studying prey. But not cruel, not harsh, only obsessive and exacting. He didn't move closer immediately. Instead, he watched, letting Elian set the terms, knowing full well the Omega's heart and body were already tethered to him. "You will have time," Dominic said finally, voice low but firm. But know this, wherever you go, whatever you do, the bond will not allow distance. You belong to me, Elian, that hasn't changed, and it won't. Elian shivered but nodded, pressing his hands against his stomach. The baby moved, tiny kicks that felt like pulses echoing Dominic's presence. He glanced up, meeting the alpha's gaze for the first time without fear, only hesitation and curiosity. Dominic rose and extended a hand, not demanding, not claiming, but offering. "Then take it slowly," he murmured. "We will move at your pace, but you cannot hide from me. You cannot resist the bond. I will not abandon you, Elian, and I will protect you as my queen, as my world." Elian hesitated, then placed his hand in Dominic's. That small act sent shivers through him, a tentative truce forming. He had given up, but on his own terms. Days passed. Dominic never forced Elian, never imposed. Instead, he moved around him like a constant shadow, protective, obsessive, almost suffocating, but in a way that slowly drew Elian in. He prepared meals, made the mansion safe, tended to every need Elian didn't even realize he had, and always kept his eyes on him, never leaving him alone with doubt or fear. "You shouldn't be walking in the rain," Dominic scolded one evening, wrapping a blanket around Elian's shoulders. "It's reckless. I will not allow harm to come to you. Not you, not our child." Elian flushed, heart hammering at the possessive undertone. Dominic's care was meticulous, obsessive, but it made him feel wanted, cherished, protected. The heat rising in his chest was confusing, terrifying, and alluring all at once. Each gesture, each possessive glance, each insistence on keeping Elian safe became intoxicating. The Omega found himself drawn to Dominic in ways he could not fully control. He hated how much he wanted it, and yet every touch, every word, every glance burned into him like fire. Dominic noticed, of course. He leaned closer when Elian hesitated near the hearth, brushing a stray lock of wet hair from his face. "You can't hide your feelings," he murmured, lips grazing the ear. "The bond tells me everything, every heartbeat, every longing, every desire. You are mine, Elian, and soon you will want it too." Elian gasped, body responding against his mind's warnings. Dominic's obsession, his possessiveness, his careful, deliberate care, it was seduction in its purest, most dangerous form. And slowly he let himself be drawn in. Section 1. Foreshadowing the intimacy. As days turned into nights, Dominic's attentions became more daring, hands brushing over arms, guiding him to sit close, whispering softly about their bond, about the child, about the future. Each moment was calculated, obsessive, protective, but also intimate. Elian realized he no longer feared the alpha entirely. Fear was still there, but mingled with longing, with curiosity, with a desperate desire to see just how far the obsession, the bond, and the love could take him. And as Dominic leaned closer that night, fingers brushing the curve of his waist, Elian's resolve faltered completely. The Omega knew he was ready to accept, slowly, the bond and the alpha who had never let him go. The days in the mansion began to take on a rhythm, a strange, luxurious rhythm that neither Elian nor Dominic had experienced before. Dominic never forced Elian, never demanded obedience outright. Instead, he curated a world where every need was anticipated, every desire gently coaxed out. Elian found himself waking to meals prepared with exacting care, rooms warmed just enough to chase away chills, and soft touches lingering in ways that both embarrassed and thrilled him. Every movement Dominic made was precise, deliberate, and wrapped in a possessive obsession that drew Elian in despite himself. "You slept poorly," Dominic murmured one morning, brushing damp hair from Elian's forehead. "I've prepared a bath, warm, safe. No one will disturb you." Elian's cheeks flushed, heart hammering. "I don't need." "You do," Dominic interrupted softly, voice smooth and low. "And you will allow me. I will not let you suffer alone, not you, not our child. You are mine and I care for you completely, like a queen." Elian's stomach fluttered violently at the possessive declaration. A queen. In Dominic's obsessive mind, he was revered, cherished, and protected, but still utterly claimed. The dichotomy made heat pool deep inside him, a dangerous, thrilling burn that left him trembling. Dominic never let him out of sight unnecessarily. When Elian ventured near the terrace, Dominic followed silently, never touching unless needed, but always watching, every step protective, almost suffocating. The alpha's obsession wrapped around him, a constant tether, and yet it was seductive. Elian hated the way he felt, hated how his body responded to Dominic's heat, yet he could not help but be drawn closer. "You should eat," Dominic said one evening, seating Elian with gentle insistence. "You are nourishing more than yourself. The child needs you, I need you, and you will allow me to care for you." Elian swallowed hard, feeling the magnetic pull of Dominic's possessiveness. Every glance, every small gesture made him want to surrender further, want to accept the alpha's obsession, want to feel the claim of the bond in every nerve. Days blurred into nights. Dominic's hands grew bolder, resting briefly at the small of Elian's back, brushing against his thighs when he guided him to sit closer, lingering touches that carried both ownership and longing. Each movement was a calculated seduction, threading possessiveness, care, and obsession into every interaction. One night, Dominic leaned close as Elian attempted to settle by the hearth. Fingers traced along his jawline, lips brushing his temple. "You cannot deny the pull," Dominic murmured. "The bond, the obsession, the desire, it all calls to you. You feel it, I feel it, our child feels it, and soon you will not resist anymore." Elian shivered, breath hitching. His body betrayed him completely, responding to the intimate, obsessive energy radiating from Dominic. Yet, for the first time, he felt not fear, but longing, desire, curiosity, and a strange sense of safety under Dominic's obsessive care. Days turned into intimate rituals. Dominic would draw baths, prepare meals, or gently guide Elian to sit or lie down, always under the guise of care but never losing the thread of obsession. The alpha's possessiveness was relentless, yet tender, demanding, yet intoxicating. Elian found himself leaning into it, craving it, even as he resisted mentally. The idea of surrender no longer terrified him. It intrigued him. The alpha's obsession, his unyielding possessiveness, his careful, meticulous care, it was impossible to resist. One evening, as Dominic gently brushed Elian's hair back, he whispered, "You are mine, Elian, my queen, and I will protect you. I will cherish you. And soon, you will want me as I want you." Elian's chest tightened. Heat pooled in his body, nerves alive with the magnetic tension. Slowly, he placed his hand over Dominic, allowing the smallest, most tentative contact. The alpha's eyes darkened with desire and possessive fire. Weeks of care, obsession, and possessive seduction led to that night. The first time Elian allowed himself to fully succumb, not to fear, but to desire. Dominic's lips traced along his neck, hands holding him close, possessive yet gentle. Every motion, every touch was an assertion of dominance, care, and unrelenting obsession. Elian's body responded instinctively, nerves alive, heartbeat syncing with Dominic's. I, he stammered, voice quivering. "You don't need words," Dominic murmured, pressing their foreheads together. "You will feel it, you will understand it, and I will take care of you, possess you, love you, claim you completely." And with that, the slow, intoxicating dance of love and obsession began. Every touch, every kiss, every possessive caress drew Elian deeper, body, heart, and soul, until he surrendered fully, trusting Dominic's obsessive care to guide him through the heat, the longing, and the pleasure. For the first time in weeks, he did not run. He did not fight. He allowed himself to be claimed, not just physically, but emotionally, completely, under Dominic's obsessive, unwavering love. The mansion had become their sanctuary, though still tinged with fire and obsession. Nights blurred into days as Dominic's possessive care and Elian's tentative trust grew into a bond neither could ignore. The alpha's obsession had shifted subtly, still fierce, still possessive, but softened with care and devotion, his possessiveness now a shield as much as a chain. Elian felt the change inside himself. The Omega who had run, who had trembled at the thought of surrender, was now leaning willingly into Dominic's obsession, responding to it with heat, shivers, and the fluttering of their unborn child. You feel it, don't you? Dominic murmured one evening, trailing his fingers along Alian's spine, hands lingering possessively. The bond, the obsession, the truth of what is ours. You've fought it, but I can see it now. You want it. You want me, you want us. Elian gasped, heart hammering, body ablaze. I do, he admitted, voice trembling, breath uneven. But I need time. Dominic's lips curved into a possessive smile, dark and intimate. Time, you've earned that, he whispered. But know this, I will take it slowly. I will care for you, I will adore you, but I will never let go. You are mine, my queen, and our child will know it, feel it just as you will. Weeks passed, marked by obsessive care and carefully measured seduction. Dominic's possessiveness was everywhere, guiding Elian to sit, holding him close, whispering ownership into the quiet moments. He brushed damp hair from Elian's forehead, pressed kisses to his nape, traced the line of his jaw with fingers that claimed and worshipped all at once. Elian's resistance melted piece by piece. The alpha's obsession, relentless, consuming, yet tender, became intoxicating. Every touch, every possessive glance, every whispered word pulled him deeper. He could feel the child inside him responding to Dominic's presence, every kick and flutter reinforcing the bond, embedding the alpha's claim into his very body. You're mine, Dominic murmured one night, voice a low growl, lips brushing against Elian's temple. You will feel it, you will accept it, and you will love it. Love me. Love the bond. Love what is ours. Elian's knees weakened. He leaned fully into Dominic, surrendering more than his body, letting his heart follow, trusting, trembling, and aching for the touch, the obsession, the love. The first night they made love was not rushed. It was deliberate, obsessive, a dance of dominance, devotion, and desire. Dominic's possessiveness guided every movement, hands anchoring Elian, lips claiming him, body pressing, consuming, protecting. Every touch was precise, intended to ignite, to mark, to claim utterly. Elian's body shivered under the intensity. Fear, longing, and desire mingled in waves as he responded instinctively to Dominic's obsession. He moaned softly, surrendering fully to the pleasure, to the bond, to the alpha who had hunted him across the nation, only to cradle him now with obsession and care. You are mine, Dominic whispered against his lips, voice rough with need. And I will never let you go, not you, not our child, you are mine, always. Elian's body pressed closer, trembling, heart racing. I am yours, he gasped. All yours. Dominic's hands tightened slightly, possessive, claiming every inch of him, pressing into his waist, tracing the curve of his back, holding him like a king holds a queen, but also like an alpha claiming a mate. The intensity was overwhelming, and yet Elian welcomed it, shivering with desire and adoration, body and heart finally aligned with the bond. The following weeks deepened their connection. Dominic's obsession extended beyond passion to care. He prepared nourishing meals, monitored Elian's health, and spoke constantly to the child in his womb, whispering possessive words that echoed in the quiet halls of the mansion. You are ours, Dominic murmured one evening, hand resting over Elian's stomach. You will know love and protection, passion and obsession. Our bond will guide you, teach you, protect you. And your father, he will never let harm touch you or your mother. Elian leaned into him, feeling the bond thrum between them, between father, child, and alpha. Heat pooled in his chest, body, and soul, not just from desire, but from the overwhelming care and obsession Dominic lavished on them. His heart, once torn with fear and defiance, now beat with love, acceptance, and longing for the alpha who had claimed him entirely. The ultimate acceptance. Elian's surrender became complete, not forced, not rushed, but chosen. Each intimate moment, each obsessive touch, each whispered possessive word solidified his acceptance. He was Dominic's utterly, completely, body and soul. He loved the obsession, craved the care, responded to the possession, and knew that their bond, alpha, omega, and child, was unbreakable. The nights that followed were a blend of obsession, care, and lovemaking that wove them together into an unshakable union. Dominic's possessiveness became Elian's safety, his obsession a thrill, his devotion a comfort. Every embrace, every kiss, every intimate touch reinforced the bond, until neither could imagine life apart. And as the child moved inside him, fluttering in response to the alpha's touch, Elian whispered against Dominic's chest, "I love you, all of you." Dominic pressed his lips to his forehead, possessive, adoring, obsessive. "And I love all of you, always, every heartbeat, every breath. You are mine, and you will always be my queen." The mansion had never felt more alive. The flicker of candlelight, the soft rustle of silk sheets, and the warmth of Dominic's body beside him made Elian realize how far he had come. The Omega who had run across the country, trembling at every thought of surrender, now rested fully in Dominic's arms, safe, desired, and finally willing. Dominic's possessiveness had not waned. If anything, it had deepened, but it had shifted from a threat to a sanctuary. Every glance, every touch, every whispered word carried ownership, devotion, and a burning, obsessive love that made Elian's pulse hammer. "You are mine," Dominic murmured, fingers trailing along Elian's arm, tracing the delicate curve of his shoulder. "Not because you cannot escape, but because you choose to stay, because you trust me, because you are my queen." Elian shivered, letting the title sink in. Queen. The word wrapped around him like a cloak, fierce, protective, and thrilling. He had demanded time, he had asked for space, and Dominic had given it slowly, patiently, while never losing the thread of obsession. Days passed in a rhythm of obsessive devotion. Dominic anticipated Elian's every need. Meals prepared exactly how he liked, rooms kept at perfect warmth, and every small gesture of care infused with possessive love. He spoke constantly to the child growing inside Elian, whispering words that resonated through the bond, embedding security, devotion, and protection. "You are ours," Dominic murmured one evening, resting his hand over Elian's stomach. "Our child will grow knowing love, obsession, protection. And you will know that I am yours entirely as you are mine." Elian pressed into him, heart hammering, body alive with the alpha's heat. Every possessive word, every meticulous care, every obsessive glance drew him closer, making surrender feel like triumph rather than defeat. The intimacy between them deepened with every passing night. Dominic's possessive touch, hands guiding, lips claiming, body pressing, taught Elian the rhythm of surrender. The Omega's body responded instinctively, nerves alight with desire, pleasure, and the deep, consuming pull of the bond. One night, Dominic guided Elian to the softest bed in the mansion, his hands firm but tender on the small of the Omega's back. "You will let me show you," he whispered, voice low, dangerous, intimate. "You will feel every piece of me, every heartbeat, every breath, every obsession, and you will know that it is yours to accept." Elian's pulse raced. He had given up. He had asked for time. And now, with Dominic's obsessive care surrounding him, with the bond thrumming between them, he allowed himself to sink fully into the experience. Their lovemaking was deliberate, intense, a mixture of obsession, possessiveness, and adoration. Dominic's hands marked Elian's body with precise care, lips tracing along sensitive lines, every movement claiming him completely yet tenderly. The alpha's obsession was a storm and a shield, consuming and protective, and Elian surrendered to it fully, body, heart, and soul. "You are mine," Dominic growled against his neck. "And I will never let go, not you, not our child. You are mine, my queen, and you will feel it in every heartbeat." Elian's moans, trembling body, and racing heartbeat were proof. "I am yours," he whispered, tears of desire and love streaming down. "All of me." The night stretched into hours of intense connection, physical and emotional, each moment cementing their bond, their obsession, their love. Every caress, every kiss, every possessive claim strengthened the threads that bound them irrevocably. Morning brought light, and with it the undeniable realization of what they had become. Dominic cradled Elian, hand pressed to his stomach, lips brushing the top of his head. "Our child and you," he murmured. "Together, always, you are my queen, and I will protect you, love you, possess you completely." Elian pressed into him, feeling the child's stir, the bond thrumming, the obsession and care entwined with love. I belong to you," he whispered. "And I love all of this, all of you." Dominic's smile was dark, possessive, and adoring. "And I will never let you go, not ever, my queen, my omega, our child, our bond, forever." The mansion, the world outside, the hunt, the fear, all of it vanished. Only Dominic, only the bond, only their obsessive, possessive, and all-consuming love remained. And in that moment, Elian knew he would never need anything else. He had surrendered, yes, but not to fear. He had surrendered to care, to obsession, to passion, and to a love that consumed, protected, and claimed every inch of him. Dominic's lips pressed to his forehead one final time, possessive and tender. "Forever," he whispered. "All of you mine, always." Elian's heartbeat matched his. "Forever," he echoed, voice trembling, body and soul surrendered. The Alpha and his queen were bound, fully, irrevocably, obsessively, and nothing in the world could separate them again.